Will continue to vigorously implement countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act and urge all countries to curtail relationships with Russia's defense and intelligence sectors, both of which are linked to malign activities worldwide.
China slapped with sanctions in response to their purchase of Su-35 fighter jets, as well as an S-400 missile system. Now, Heather Nauert, the spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, says this is about deterring countries around the world from doing business with Russia's defense industry. China is not the only country in the world to have purchased the S-400 missile system from Russia. It's important to note that Turkey, which is a member of NATO and a longtime U.S. ally, has also purchased the S-400 missile system. Now, Heather Nauert was pressed on that, and this is what she said.
You know, it goes against our policy to have a NATO ally, such as Turkey, use an S-400 system. Part of the problem with that is that it is not interoperable with other NATO systems. And so we are against the having some of our partners and allies around the world potentially purchase S-400s.
And it would trigger CATSA sanctions?
I'm not going to get into that, but we have made very clear what could trigger sanctions for other countries and entities around the world.
But it's not just Turkey. In fact, India is currently in the final stages of purchasing an S-400 missile system of its own. And there are a number of U.S. allies around the world that are also planning to buy S-400 missile systems. If we look at it, Saudi Arabia, a very key ally of the United States in the Middle East, is in the process of buying S-400 missiles. So is Qatar and Iraq. The question must be raised, why is it that China is being slapped with sanctions for its purchasing not just of the S-400s, but also the Su-35 jet fighter. But the question is, why are these other countries not being subject to sanctions? Is the United States actually prepared to enforce these sanctions across the board against anyone who would buy these missile systems? Or is it being enforced selectively?
And despite the sanctions imposed by Washington, China doubled down, saying it will nonetheless continue strategic cooperation. While author and historian Gerald Horne believes that Beijing is strong enough to handle an American hit.
There is a lot of hysteria right now in the United States about the prospect of China being in the passing lane. That is to say, surpassing the United States in terms of having the #1 economy on planet Earth. This has to be considered when contemplating the news story that we're now discussing. If this particular escalation on Washington's part continues, that it's no telling what the ultimate result will bring. You know that China purchases hundreds of billions of dollars and has hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. Treasury bills, which are used to finance the U.S. government, everything from the post office to the Pentagon. Even though there is concern in China that dumping these treasury bills will harm Chinese investment in this commercial paper, there is more talk in Beijing that this is in store, and in fact, perhaps China curbing future purchases of U.S. treasury bills. If that takes place, the United States will either have to cut programs or raise taxes, and Washington does not want to embark on either path. I'm afraid to say that China can probably absorb more pain than the United States can at this particular moment. So I would hope that Washington would not take that dangerous step.